So in this video we review the Belgium Grand Prix, we discuss Max Verstappen and Red Bull's speed, as well as I reveal what I think to the rumours that Red Bull are deliberately hindering Perez's car and deliberately sabotaging his car. I reveal what I think to those kind of rumours. So yeah, the Belgium Grand Prix, I thought it was a good race. I enjoyed it. You have to remember that I've been into Formula One for so many years, and it's just been a sport that I love. But to be fair, if I had to give it a rating out of 5, I'd give it a 3.5 out of 5. And I've seen a lot of people give it a rating of 3 out of 5, and that's like the average scoring that people have been giving it. For me, like if you focus on the lower end of the top 10, that's where the entertainment was in this race. Obviously, after a while, you kind of knew what the front running order was going to be, but the lower end of the top 10, like you didn't know, you couldn't predict who was going to finish where. Behind Alonso in 5th, 6th all the way down to pretty much last. You couldn't predict the positions. 1 minute Tsunoda was doing well, and Norris was doing bad, and then Norris went on to hard tyres and was doing even worse, and then suddenly he was in the points. It's like, how did he get there? Tsunoda fell backwards, so it's like interesting. Obviously you had the different strategies, different tyres, Stroll and Russell going with 1 stop, and then there's a 2 stop, so it was an interesting race. So I enjoyed it. I don't know if you did. Let me know if you did or you didn't. But yeah, Red Bull and Max Verstappen in particular, he is on another level. It's unbelievable, like how easy is making it look. Obviously, you start the race, coming into the race, you had the news that you had the grid penalty, and you kind of sit up. You're like, oh, okay, it's got a grid penalty, it's raining, there's an opportunity of someone else winning the race. But then when you saw it was a dry race, and you kind of knew, you reminded yourself that Verstappen won from 14th position last year, and you kind of knew they're inevitable. It was a question of like, which lap was he going to take the lead? And surprisingly, it took him a little while to get into the lead. It took him like into the second stint. But the scary thing is for me is like how when we went onto the onboard footage of him in the final stint, and he was having the conversation with GP about, you know, going for fastest lap, doing an extra stop, and just messing around and having a joke with GP, trying to wind him up. And then I went onto the onboard, and you just saw how slow he was going, as in like, not how slow, because obviously he was going fast, but how easy he was taking it, how much he was lifting early and going around corners and not even pushing it to the limit, and just like giving the curb some space. And admittedly, he could have been doing lift and coast at the time. They didn't clarify that, but it just looks so easy and so like scary, if I'm honest with you. It's just scary. I can't record time when it has been that easy. Obviously my memory could have forgotten instances when Hamilton was like chilling in the lead, or when Vettel might have had his season. But I can't record time when it looks so easy for the leader, and he was still like 20 plus seconds ahead of his teammate. But you have to tip your cap to him, you have to tip your cap to Red Bull. It's just unbelievable what's happening this year. It's unbelievable, like the kind of success they're having. It's unbelievable the car that they have and the results that they're getting. You'd think, like, I keep saying to myself, or fans keep saying, like, we're watching history. Throughout the Vettel era, we said we're watching history. Throughout the Hamilton era, we said we're watching history. And it's just so soon and coming around so quickly. It's just unbelievable how quickly these records have been broken. Like, you look back at what Schumacher did and you just thought no one could beat those records. And then Vettel come along and you thought he was going to do it. You thought, you know, after four titles, he was going to break those records, but he didn't. And you thought, you know, Schumacher's records would be safe. Then Hamilton came along and he started breaking all these records, winning all these races, all these titles. And he matched, you know, the 7 titles, and he broke all these win records, and he's done like this and done that. And you said to yourself, like, no one's going to beat these records for ages. Like, no one is. It's just impossible. But then here we go straight away into the next era, and these records have been broken already, like win records and potential title records, depending on how far this Red Bull car can go. And it's just weird, like how, for me, it feels like these records are coming around and being broken so quickly. But I have to question, like, is this good or bad for Formula One? Especially with newer fans, older fans, like fans like myself were like, there's only so many times I can say I'm watching history, I need to enjoy it, I'm watching history. We had to 2021 that, like, you know, whetted our appetite. That was like one of the greatest seasons ever. And it's like, you know, we could do with more seasons like that, nearly like that. Obviously, it's good to watch history and it's good to be living through a historic period. But, you know, we've lived through the Hamilton period, living through the Verstappen period. Records been broken back then, records been broken now. You know, let's break it up, you know, with a close season next year, maybe, hopefully. Just one close season, and then, you know, we can go back to record breaking or whatever. But it'd be interesting to see how Formula One does during this period, especially with the new fans that came in during the 2021 season, and they thought that, you know, this is Formula One. This is what Formula One's all about, all this excitement, all this drama. But then, obviously, since then, we've just had this Verstappen dominance. But like I said, if you follow cars behind the leader, follow the racing behind the leader, and you go through the whole field, and you can enjoy Formula One that way. You can enjoy Formula One. It is an exciting sport. Even when someone's winning all the time, it's still an exciting sport. But yeah, but no, it was good. It was good. Back-to-back races, Hungary Grand Prix, and then straight into Spa. And yeah, so sprint race weekend as well. Some rain, bit of jeopardy, qualifying on the Friday, sprint shootout. So it was a good weekend, a really enjoyable weekend. And yeah, I'm glad I wasn't there getting rained on, but it looked really good that the crowd was enjoying themselves. And Max Verstappen fans, you know, those guys are just crazy. They just love to party. And no, it was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it. And obviously we're going to the summer break, which is going to be a bit of a killer for someone who likes watching back-to-back races and likes a lot of racing. And yeah, 4 weeks off. So it's going to be a long break. But hopefully I'll make lots of videos for you so I can help you, you know, break up that period, and you can enjoy the time watching these videos. And if you do like these videos, then feel free to subscribe so that you don't miss out on any coming over the next 4 weeks, as I've got plenty of ideas on what I can produce and release during this 4-week period. But yeah, back to the race. It was interesting to see that during the first stint, like, Verstappen wasn't just overtaking him lap after lap. He got into a DRS train and he was stuck behind Hamilton for a little while, and he didn't get past Hamilton until he lost the DRS from Leclerc. So that's when he got past Hamilton, but then he realised that his tyres were gone. Following Hamilton, he got his tyres and he couldn't get into his own rhythm, and he had to pit, and then he obviously got into his own rhythm, and he easily overtook Perez. So Perez, there's been a lot of talk on social media saying that they're not in the same car. Perez is in an inferior car, and that the Red Bull team is purposely hindering Perez's car. And, well, what do I think about that? What do I think to those rumours, and what do I think if it's true or not, or what? First of all, you need to remember that Perez, you look at the two careers from Verstappen and Perez. Verstappen came into Formula One after only one season of racing. One season. Just one season, and that was in Formula 3. To go from one season of racing in Formula 3 car straight into Formula 1, and then be on the ball within your first season of Formula 1. You just knew from that very first season, that he was something special. You just knew that Max Verstappen was something special. This young kid, I think it was 17 or 18 at the time, straight into Formula 1 after one season, and it was on the pace straight away. Obviously it was reckless at the beginning, but you can give him that. You'd rather have someone that's fast and reckless than someone that's slow and steady. You knew he was special, and that was like unheard of. Like, if you look back in history, the career ladders nowadays, the career ladders like this: you start from Formula 4, you go to Formula 3, you do Formula 2, and then you go to Formula 1. That's like the standard levels that you follow. And even back in the old days, there was an extra category. You pretty much started in Formula Ford, you went into something called like Formula Renault, and then you went into Formula 3, and then you went into like Formula 2 GP2, and then you went into Formula 1. That was like pretty much the standard category, the standard progression of a driver getting ready to Formula 1. For Max to come in straight away after one season of racing to go into Formula 1 and do well, you just knew straight away that it was going to be amazing. Obviously nowadays you have the advantage of like simulators. Simulators are really good, they prepare you really well, and it's one of the reasons why Hamilton, who came into his first season and pretty much went for the title within his first season, is down to the amount of simulator time that McLaren gave him before that first year in Formula 1. But obviously, you know, Hamilton had his own skills and talents, and he is one of the greats as well. And then you compare that with like Perez's history. You look at the career he had before Red Bull. You look at his Formula 1 career. He was basically, had his one season in McLaren really early, and he didn't really produce that season. And people are saying that it's because it was like too early for him. So he went back into the midfield team, and he stayed there for plenty of years. And he was highly respected. He had those results where he kind of pulled it out of the bag, and he got like podiums here, podiums there, good results here, good results there. And, you know, he was respected as a good driver, or a reliable driver, and, you know, the kind of driver that midfield teams need. Like, you look at the K-Mags, you look at the Hulkenbergs, and, you know, you look at like, I don't know, Ocon maybe, just like these drivers that are in the midfield. They've got all of these experience, they kind of get the results every now and again, they pull it out of the bag, and it's like, you know, it's a reliable pair of hands. And he got to the stage of his career where he was nearly out of Formula 1. Obviously, Racing Point with Lance Stroll, he went with Vettel, and he wanted to keep his son in the seat, so that meant like Perez had no position in that seat after doing such a great year that year, winning his first race. And it came to a stage where he could have been out of Formula 1. At Red Bull, they needed a number 2 driver, they needed a reliable driver, they went with these young guns, and it was maybe a little bit too early for them, but they struggled, they weren't within the range that they needed them to be, and this was in a period where, you know, Red Bull weren't number 1. For Verstappen to beat Mercedes, he needed a number 2 driver to help him in the fight with Mercedes. So that's why they went with someone experienced, a steady pair of hands, and that's why they decided to sign Sergio Perez and not go with someone from their young driver program. So just by looking at the history of these two drivers, you know for a fact it's easy and it's blatant that Max Verstappen is going to go down as one of the greatest drivers of all time. Whereas Perez, yes, is a solid, reliable driver on his day. He is a good driver, but he's not going to go down as the greatest of all time. So obviously, just by that side-by-side comparison, you know that Verstappen is going to outperform someone like Perez easily and consistently. Good midfield drivers, you look at Bottas compared to Hamilton, because they used to have this same kind of argument as well. The same kind of argument was that Mercedes was favouring Hamilton and they're trying to sabotage Bottas. But great drivers are consistent week in, week out. Even on circuits that they don't like, even on circuits where the setup's not right for them or they get it slightly wrong, they're still fast and they're still consistently fast. Whereas drivers that are good in the midfield, like Bottas, Perez, on their day, they're really good. Bottas used to pull out some great pole position laps, used to win a few races here and there. On his day, it was good. On Perez's day, when the conditions are right, when he likes a circuit, a street circuit maybe, conditions are right for him, and he's got the right confidence, and think the stars align and everything's perfect, he'll pull it out of the bag and he'll get a pole position, or he could get a win. He could beat Verstappen. But the real difference is these great drivers just do it week in, week out. They consistently perform, and that's what makes them one of the greats. So even if Red Bull wanted to favour Verstappen, and well, even deep down, if Red Bull really wanted Verstappen to win the titles and they want Verstappen because they pay him the most money, and I don't know, they just love Verstappen over Perez, even if they wanted him to win and be the one that wins this year, they literally don't have to do anything. They can give Verstappen and Perez the same car, the same equipment, the same opportunity, and Verstappen's just going to win because he's a better driver. It's as simple as that. And there was an interview this weekend on Sky Sports where Perez says, like, these rumours are crazy. He has the same opportunities as Red Bull. He has the same car that has the same opportunities as Verstappen. He has the same car, the same opportunities. And it doesn't make sense for Red Bull to sabotage Perez's car. They want to win everything. Red Bull want to win 1 and 2. Red Bull want to destroy the field, want to go down in history, they want to beat all these records. yes, they probably prefer Verstappen to win over Perez, but they don't need to sabotage Perez's car. That's going to happen anyway. Just like how Hamilton easily beat Bottas, because Hamilton's a great, Bottas is like a good, reliable number 2 driver, or midfield driver. Like you look at what happened to Bottas now. He's getting beat by he's getting beat by his teammate every now and again. So yeah, I know these crazy rumours keep coming up over and over again, and it's like something that's not new, but it just surprises me that people do actually think that, because at the end of the day, like, these drivers are really good at what they do. They're greatly consistent, and that's why they potentially always beat their teammate. No one's saying at Aston Martin that Alonso's beating Stroll because because Alonso's getting favoured, because they know for a fact that Lance Stroll was his son's, the team owner's son, so obviously they're going to have the same opportunity. So it's interesting to see that these rumours keep coming up over and over again when it shouldn't, because no team will sabotage their own car for results. They want to maximise the results. There's so much money involved, so much prestige involved. You wouldn't sabotage your own car. It just doesn't make sense. But you know, I could be proved wrong. There's been so many crazy controversies in Formula One. Maybe there's something in the background, but I highly doubt it. I'll eat this hat. If something happened, I'll eat this Alonso hat. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how Perez comes back from the summer break. So he's going to go back, he's going to reset, he's going to go away, and he's going to come back, reset, see how it goes. Because Helmut Marko said, you know, as long as he's finishing on the podium, finishes second in the championship, then he'll be back next year. They will see out his contract next year, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes along. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see if any news breaks in a summer break, because sometimes, like, you think there's going to be 4 weeks of no Formula One action, which is true, obviously there's not, but sometimes some dramas, some news stories, driver movement, sackings, you know, you got that. Yeah, well, obviously we've already had the sackings at Alpine, which is surprising. That team is just turning into the new Ferrari. I don't know what's going on there, but Alonso was lucky to leave that team. Yeah, so there could be some drama with some news dropping, some further sackings, some driver swaps. So we'll see. We've still got to get Hamilton to sign his contract. So they keep talking about how it's a done deal and how it's going to be pretty easy to do and easy to go through, but it seems to drag on year after year, and this year's dragging on even more. You know, there could be a stage where Mercedes goes, we pay you too much. We pay you way too much, and, you know, we don't want to pay you anymore. But, you know, it's that'd be big news. That'd be very big news if Hamilton doesn't re-sign. But obviously we think he will do, but you never know. There could be some drama that drops throughout these 4 weeks. It's happened before, and it could happen again. So we'll see what happens. And yeah, if you found this video interesting, please do like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and enjoy the next race.